Are you bored of driving yourself and your family around like some sort of normal person? Do you often think to yourself, if only I had a chauffeur? And further to that, are you wealthy enough to have a chauffeur? Well, my friends, this may well just be the fancy bus that you've been waiting for. Welcome aboard the 2024 Lexus LM. This is the brand's very first luxury people mover. Now, this review is going to be a little bit different because as well as driving the car, I've spent more time here in the second row being a passenger. So I'm still going to cover things like price and spec and all of that kind of stuff, but it's very much focused on this row here. Now, with that in mind, driver, to the Mornington Peninsula, please. Oh, where's that massage function? Initially, Lexus is offering two 7-seat LM350H grades, an all-wheel drive and a front-wheel drive. But from early next year, you'll be able to buy the LM500H. Now, that is a 4-seater. So basically what that means is behind the driver's space is essentially a first-class airline cabin. But how much is one of these going to set you back? The two initial grades are the LM350H Sports Luxury. They both share the same 4-cylinder hybrid powertrain, and there's an entry-level front-wheel drive grade that starts from a tick over $160,000 before on-road costs. The grade we are driving is the LM350H all-wheel drive, and that is priced at $165,888. That flagship 4-seater coming in 2024 is the LM500H, and it has a more powerful hybrid powertrain, and it's priced at just over $220,000. It's fair to say the LM will appeal to large families that aren't short of $1, airport limo operators, and even as tourist transport for those people that want to be ferried around in something a bit nicer than a high-ace bus. Thankfully, there's a substantial amount of standard gear for the not insubstantial price. The only difference in spec between the two 350H grades is the addition of all-wheel drive. Otherwise, you'll find keyless entry and start, front heated seats, automatic retractable side steps, power opening side doors, rear privacy glass, a pair of sunroofs, and semi-aniline or L-aniline upholstery. Tech-wise, there's a digital rearview mirror and a 14-inch touchscreen, a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, a head-up display, 7 USB ports, a smartphone charger, and a rear 14-inch multimedia display. This is just a hint of what it has as standard, so check out my written review at carsguide.com.au for more details on equipment. In terms of rivals, there really aren't many other luxury people movers on the market. Aside from the Mercedes-Benz V-Class and the all-electric EQV, there are higher grade versions of the Volkswagen Multivan and the LDV MIFA 9 EV. So generally, people movers are not the sexiest body styles out there, but there are a few cool models that have been changing that perception of late, including the Kia Carnival and the Hyundai Staria. I think the Lexus LM is going to have a similar impact. It's incredibly bold, and I'm sure it's not going to be for everyone, but I love it. It's like way more than just a box on wheels. This is not your uncle's Tarago. So look at that front end. I really like those slimline headlights, and that grille is incredibly bold. So somebody here at the hotel said it looked like a cheese grater. So, you know, you're not going to please everyone. But wait till you see the interior. It is based on Toyota's TNGA-K architecture that underpins a bunch of Toyota and Lexus models, including the Lexus RX. And it measures a whopping 5.1 metres long and has a 3-metre wheelbase. It shares its underpinnings with the Japanese market Toyota Alphard, which is a cult hit here among the grey import set. When it comes to interior design, there's no mistaking this for anything other than a Lexus. The steering wheel and the touchscreen setup are familiar from the RX and NX. The design isn't striking, but it's functional, and there's more than a touch of luxury in here. So when you buy a Lexus these days, you get more than just a car. Lexus has a loyalty program of sorts called Lexus Encore. Basically, it means you're eligible, depending on the car that you buy, for a bunch of really cool experiences and bonuses and free stuff, basically. So it's no coincidence that we're here at Jackalope on the Mornington Peninsula. This hotel is a partner of Lexus. So if you stay here, you get all these cool freebies and upgrades and stuff like that that other guests don't get. Now, there's quite a bit more information on my written review at carsguide.com.au about Lexus Encore. The LM is covered by a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and the servicing schedule is every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. Lexus is yet to announce the capped price servicing offer for the LM, but it's expected to cover 5 years and should be in the vicinity of about $700 per service. So the plush interior starts right here in the driver's seat and the passenger seat of the Lexus LM. As expected of a car north of $150,000, you get some niceties, including these very, very lovely front seats. They can be adjusted multiple ways and they're very comfortable. There's a decent amount of support, particularly around the sides, and I've got absolutely no complaints. I just came back from a bit of a drive and, you know, these are the kind of seats you're like, oh, I could do quite the road trip in this. I'm a big fan of a Lexus steering wheel, and this one is no different. They just feel nice. It just feels premium. It looks nice. It's got stitching. This has got a little bit of wood grain. I'm not a fan of a wood grain situation, but this is dark enough that it doesn't look like wood grain. It just kind of looks like plastic, but it is wood. I can feel it. And what I love as well, Lexus keeps it pretty simple with the controls on the steering wheel. I've been in a few cars lately that there's a lot happening on the steering wheel, and you know, it's all useful stuff, but maybe a little bit too much. So they've kind of kept that simple for dullards like myself. Directly ahead of me, you've got a nicely designed dash situation. It's very Toyota Lexus. Nothing wrong with that. There's some black gloss around the screens. The multimedia screen is great. I've used this before in a number of new generation Lexus models, and it's light years ahead of where the brand was even a couple of years ago. So great to see that that's made its way to this new gen car. The system's really easy to use. The Apple CarPlay went on very quickly, connected that straight away, but the in-house multimedia system is super logical. There's just a line menu down here. Car, phone, audio, nav. It's really, really simple. There are a number of controls up here for the driver or chauffeur to look after their passengers in the back. So you can open the doors in the rear on either side with switches over here. I believe there's also switches up here for the same function. You can open the tailgate, of course, and the shades you can do from here too. So a lot of the things to keep your passengers comfortable, which makes sense given a lot of people will be chauffeur driven in this car. In terms of storage, it's pretty exceptional up here. Very good deep cup holders here. Quite a big space down here for the bottle holders. You can fit tall bottles here as well as a few other items in the doors too. You've got a little nook here that's got a wireless charger, of course, and a separate kind of little nook that you can put some other items in. Now, that closes for security. You've also got 2 USB-C ports there, and if you open this enormous central bin, you'll find yet another USB port, as well as an HDMI port and a 12-volt cable. But what I love the most is that you can open it that way, or you can open it this way. Finally, just sitting in this driver's seat, you feel nicely ensconced in the car. A lot of these cars, particularly the Hyundai Staria and a Mercedes-Benz EQV that I drove at the start of the year, you know, you're sitting high up, but the windowsills kind of come quite low, so you feel like you're sitting on the car rather than in it. That's not the case with this. You feel like this is a cockpit. The way that this is designed, the driving position, all of it just feels like you're in control of the car, and it's a nice feeling and a nice look. So this is where it's at. The second row is where you want to be in the Lexus LM. It is, as you would imagine, given it's going to be used by limo operators. Straight off the bat, as you can see, I have a ridiculous amount of space back here. I don't think I've ever had this much head, leg, knee, toe, hip, shoulder, all of the room, just acres of it, which is fabulous. I love the fact it has a flat floor as well, so you can walk around the back of the car here. Getting in and out is a treat because there are 2 power sliding doors on each side of this thing. And to operate that, you just touch little buttons over here on the door or the door handle itself. If that's too hard and you just want to reach up here, you can do that as well because there is a control panel directly above your head. Or of course, the driver can do that for you if you don't want to have to open the door yourself. And if you're in this sort of car, why should you? Now, these seats in unsurprising news, are unbelievably comfortable. I mentioned the front seats are also very comfortable. This is next level. This is where the business class situation comes in. You can imagine that there's a lot of adjustability. There is. There is an ottoman if you want it. It reclines almost flat, so if you want to have a nap when you're going to the airport or whatever, you can do that. You've got huge armrests here as well. And of course, there's a massage function. Not just any massage function. There's weak and firm settings. I tried it on firm on the way up here, and that was lovely, and I'm quite relaxed now. Thank you. So in this second row, there's dual zone air conditioning just in this row. So that side has a different temperature to this side, which is lovely. And if you don't want to have to control things up here where the air conditioning is, you have this wonderful little thing here that is a touch screen that looks a lot like an iPhone. So you've got audio, climate, the lights. You can change the color of the lighting back here, which is pretty cool. The shades, so there's shades not only on these windows, but the windows in the third row, as well as the twin sunroofs here. So you can make it very dark or very light in here. Either way, the privacy glass is quite dark. Legally so, of course, but you do have quite a bit of privacy because you shouldn't be gawked at when you're on the way to the airport to go to Geneva. Now, it also has this function called Climate Concierge, which is basically moods for the back part of the car. So it changes things like the seating position, the temperature, the lighting, and a few other things. And you've got modes like Dream, Relax, Focus, or Energize. So it depends what you want to do back here. If you're working, you can work. If not, then you can have Rancho Relaxo time, as you should. In terms of other amenities here, there's no shortage of them. And just to make it feel more like a business class cabin, hello little table, isn't that lovely? It's not massive, but it doesn't really need to be. You've also got map pockets on the back of the two front seats. In terms of air vents, you've got the knee level and of course from the ceiling, and big bottles will fit in the doors as well. Oh, you've also got this nifty little cup holder here on my little right hand, and the seat adjustability is just to my right as well. So it's all very, very plush. Now, if this isn't plush enough for you, then you have to wait for that LM500H, and let me tell you about that, because that has a partition between you and the driver. And it also doubles as a 48-inch screen that you can watch movies or television or have conference calls on. So very, very fancy. Getting into the third row of the Lexus LM is as easy as a touch of 2 buttons. It just takes a little while to do that. So that's the first bit. This is the second bit. By all means, move at a glacial pace. And scene. So that's what it looks like. So we've got this kind of aperture to get into the car now. Here I am in the third row of the Lexus LM. Now, in unsurprising news, it's nowhere near as plush as the second row. There are some nice amenities back here though. You've got some chargers, you've got cup holders, and you've also got these very nifty shades on the window to keep the sun out. You've still got quite a bit of headroom and shoulder room, not as much leg and knee room, but it's not awful back here. It's much more space than you get in, say, a 7-seat SUV, but it is a little squishy. Now, Lexus calls this a 7-seater, and technically that is correct, but just sitting back here now as an adult, unless it's kind of 3 small children, I think we should go ahead and call this a 6-seater. So despite the big spacious cabin, cargo space is limited if you're utilising all 3 rows. In fact, it's just 110 litres of cargo space. That's similar to what you get in a 7-seat SUV. Drop the rear rows and that expands to a maximum of 1,191 litres in the 350h or 752 litres in the 500h. All grades have a space saver spare wheel, and you can access the opening on either side of the tailgate. The LM is a hybrid only model, and there are 2 powertrains available. Coming next year, the LM500H combines a 2.4 litre turbocharged petrol engine and a hybrid setup, making for power and torque of 202 kilowatts and 460 Newton meters respectively. It is all-wheel drive, and it's paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. The LM350H that we are driving uses a 2.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol engine and a parallel hybrid setup, offering a total system output of 140 kilowatts and 239 newton meters. The 350H, as mentioned, comes in front or all-wheel drive and uses a continuously variable transmission, or CVT. As you can imagine, with an all-hybrid lineup, the LM excels when it comes to combined cycle fuel efficiency. The 350H front-wheel drive sips just 5.5 litres per 100 kilometres, while the all-wheel drive version is 5.6 litres. The 500H is a little thirstier at 6.6 litres. So full disclosure, I haven't spent a huge amount of time behind the wheel of the LM. Part of this experience is really to see what it's like from the back seat, but I have spent a little bit of time driving it. Now, there's no point talking about how this thing handles because that's not what this car is about. And I haven't experienced too many twisty roads on this part of the peninsula, so that will have to wait for a future review on carsguide.com.au. So a car like this, the focus has to be on cabin quietness and comfort. There's a lot that's gone into keeping outside noise out of this car, and I've got to say, Lexus has done an exceptional job on that front. So when you accelerate like I'm doing now, you can very much hear the petrol engine side of the hybrid powertrain. This particular grade has the CVT, so it's a little bit droney, but it's not really an unpleasant noise. But certainly the transition from the electric part of the hybrid powertrain to the petrol engine is really smooth. So when I was being driven up to the Mornington Peninsula in the second row captain's chairs, the ride comfort from back there was exceptional. The only time I kind of noticed anything was when we went over a join in a bridge and there was a bit of a thump, but it wasn't that noisy and you couldn't really feel it. So that ride comfort I experienced in the second row on the way up here certainly translates to the front of the car. It's a very, very comfortable car to drive. I've said this before about the Kia Carnival. It feels like you're driving a lounge room, and this kind of feels the same, but a much more luxurious lounge room. So the LM's actually reasonably responsive from a standing start. That hybrid powertrain's pretty responsive, pretty quick. No sports car, but that is not what this car's about. But in terms of the purpose of the car, I mean, you know, it's ticking all the boxes of plush ride, hushed cabin, everything's very comfortable, smooth acceleration, smooth transition with that hybrid powertrain. It's not doing too many things wrong. The LM is yet to be crash tested by ANCAP, but as with other current Lexus models, it has a long list of standard safety gear. Check out my written review at carsguide.com.au for a more detailed rundown, but you'll find a bunch of high-tech features in the safety suite, including intersection assist and a pre-collision system with vehicle, pedestrian, cyclist and daytime motorcyclist detection. If you're a tourism operator or a limo operator, or you're just a family with a bit of money to splash around, the Lexus LM is pretty hard to beat. It does everything it says on the box. It's comfortable, it's efficient, it's quiet, it's luxurious. It really is the business class of cars. Now for more on the Lexus LM, head to carsguide.com.au.